Hey there, Digit fam. Sam Moore here with the Digit Daily Podcast for June 17th, 2019. Adam's out on vacation for a few days, so I've got the con. Anyway, it's very early as I record here on the West Coast, and I'm a little under the weather, so why don't we just get into it? Our top story today is an update on the ongoing saga of embattled Chinese tech giant Huawei. Remember, on May 15th, the United States government banned Huawei from doing business with U.S. companies, citing national security. This meant everyone from Google, which makes Android, to Qualcomm, which makes chips and chip components, had to stop working with Huawei. The company got a temporary license to be able to update and maintain its existing tech, but that will only last until August 19th. Now, reports are coming out speculating on how the ban will affect the company in the short term. Thus far, a lot of speculation has come in the form of effects over years, but now Bloomberg is speculating that things will get very bad very fast. According to sources the publication kept confidential, Huawei is anticipating a 40 to 60% drop in international smartphone shipments in 2019. Last year, Huawei shipped an estimated 200 million phones, so that drop could look like something between 80 to 120 million fewer sales. Bloomberg also said that part of that potential drop could revolve around Huawei considering dropping the Honor 20 line in Europe. The Honor 20 was officially unveiled right around when the ban initially happened, and it actually goes on sale this Friday. Apparently, if the phones don't sell well, Huawei might just stop shipping them. According to a Huawei spokesperson, UK sales of the already available Honor 20 Lite haven't been negatively impacted by the situation, but who knows if that will last. In a second report from Bloomberg, Huawei CEO Ren Zhongfei said Huawei stands to lose $30 billion over the next 2 years if the ban stays in place. However, there's a chance the ban will be lifted, at least in part. U.S. companies are starting to go to bat for Huawei. According to Reuters, executives from Intel and Xilinx met with the U.S. Commerce Department recently, apparently to lobby the government to ease Huawei's restrictions. Remember, in 2018, Huawei spent around $11 billion on chips and components from companies like Intel and Micron and Qualcomm. Additionally, the loss of Huawei represents a $2 billion reduction in semiconductor company Broadcom's earning projections. Huawei isn't an isolated company, despite the perception. It's just as integrated into the global market as any other company its size, and the loss of its business is going to affect a lot of companies in a lot of places. That's what motivated Xilinx and Intel's lobbying. As one Reuters source puts it in the report, quote, "This isn't about helping Huawei, it's about preventing harm to American companies." So that's where we stand now. Everyone is establishing new projections based on a US market without Huawei, and it seems like everyone involved stands to lose a ton of money. And on that happy note, why don't we get into the roundup? Lyric's website Genius is officially accusing Google of stealing its content and surfacing it in search results, diverting traffic from the site. Apparently, Genius figured this out by using a specific pattern of straight and curly apostrophes, which translates to red-handed when converted to Morse code. It's a pretty clever ploy, but I suppose when the company's called Genius, you kind of have to come up with elaborate solutions like this. Encrypted messaging app Telegram is claiming China has been hitting it with cyber attacks during major protests in Hong Kong. Right now, there are massive protests going on in Hong Kong over legislation that would allow for the extradition of accused criminals from Hong Kong to mainland China. Many feel this is a further step in diminishing Hong Kong's independence, and thousands have been protesting because of it. Telegram is banned in China, but accessible via VPNs, and it's commonly used by activists in both mainland China and Hong Kong. Telegram CEO Pavel Durov said the IP addresses of the source of the attack came from China, adding, quote, "Historically, all state actor-sized attacks we experienced coincided in time with protests in Hong Kong. This case was not an exception." If you're like me, the release of the Google Pixel 3a hit you with a serious case of buyer's remorse. Why did I spend $1,000 on a new phone when I could have waited and spent half that on a phone with just as good a camera? Turns out, a lot of people did. Right now, the Pixel 3a is the top-selling unlocked smartphone in the US on Amazon. Not much more to that story, but hopefully it's an indication of where mid-range phones are going in the US. Andrei Andreev, the Russian billionaire who owns dating app Bumble, just announced he's looking to expand his dating app business to include new apps and services. He's rebranded the holding company responsible for Bumble as Magic Lab, and he's trying to compete with Match Group, the dominant company in the online dating space. This will likely translate to apps and websites geared towards specific niches, something Match Group has done recently as well. If you haven't heard of Match Group, it owns Tinder, Hinge, Match.com, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, and many more. That's right. One company owns most of the popular dating services and apps in the world. There's not a whole lot more to that story either. I just thought it was interesting to point out and a little bit creepy. And I think that's actually going to do it for today, folks. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on digit.com. If you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about digitdailypod.com. I'm Sam Moore. I am S'mores on Twitter. See you tomorrow.